There are places in America where people refuse to whistle at night, not because they're superstitious, but because they believe something whistles back. Deep inside the Appalachian Mountains, families pass down terrifying rules from generation to generation. Never answer your name if you hear it outside after dark. Never follow voices into the woods, and if something in the forest sounds human, run. Because for hundreds of years, people have reported seeing things in these mountains that should not exist. Creatures walking like humans, voices coming from empty forests, animals behaving wrong, and some people believe these mountains are hiding something ancient, something intelligent, something watching from the trees. Today, we're uncovering the terrifying legends of Skinwalkers, the horrifying rules of Appalachia, and the disturbing stories people are too afraid to tell in daylight. Because once you hear these stories, you may never look at forests the same way again. The Appalachian Mountains stretch across more than 2,000 miles of North America. These mountains are ancient, older than most mountain ranges on Earth. Some scientists believe they existed before the Atlantic Ocean even formed. And maybe that's why so many people describe these forests as feeling wrong. The deeper you go into Appalachia, the quieter everything becomes. No traffic, no cities, no lights, just endless wilderness. Some areas are so isolated, you could scream for help, and nobody would hear you. And over generations, those isolated mountains created terrifying legends, stories of creatures hiding in forests, things that imitate humans, things that watch from the darkness. And one legend appears again and again, the Skinwalker. Now technically, Skinwalkers originate from Navajo legends in the American Southwest. But across the internet, people started connecting similar Appalachian encounters to the same terrifying idea. Creatures that mimic voices, creatures moving unnaturally, creatures pretending to be human. And many locals believe whatever exists in those mountains is not normal. The rules of these mountains. If you grew up in Appalachia, you probably heard strange rules from older generations. Rules outsiders laugh at, until they hear the stories behind them. Rule number 1, never whistle at night. Nobody fully agrees why. Some say whistling attracts spirits. Others say it tells something in the woods where you are. And many locals refuse to explain further. They simply say, don't do it. Another terrifying rule. If you hear someone calling your name outside at night, don't answer, even if the voice sounds familiar, because countless people claim they heard loved ones calling them from deep in the forest. A mother, a brother, a friend. But when they looked outside, nothing was there. And then, there's the most disturbing rule of all. If something in the woods looks human, but feels wrong, leave immediately. Hunters describe animals standing on 2 legs, creatures staring too long, things smiling like people, as if something is trying to imitate human behavior, without fully understanding it. Now we will discuss infamous story. In 2019, a man shared a terrifying story online after a camping trip deep in Appalachia. He and 3 friends hiked far away from civilization before setting up camp near an isolated trail. At first, everything felt normal. They built a fire, cooked food, told stories. But sometime after midnight, one of them woke up hearing footsteps outside the tents. Slow, heavy, crunching leaves. At first, they assumed it was a bear. But then the footsteps stopped directly outside one tent, and a voice spoke.
Hey!
The voice sounded exactly like one of their friends, but that friend was asleep inside another tent. Nobody moved, nobody spoke, then the voice came again.
Closer this time. Come here, come here.
One camper later said the voice sounded almost human, but completely emotionless, like something copying human speech. For nearly 20 minutes, the footsteps circled the campsite. Then suddenly, everything went silent. No insects, no wind, nothing. The next morning, they discovered strange footprints around the camp. Not animal tracks, not normal human footprints either. The prints looked stretched, distorted, and as they packed to leave, one of them noticed something standing between the trees. Tall, thin, completely still, watching them. Then it disappeared into the forest. There's a reason forests are terrifying at night. Humans evolved to fear what hides in darkness, and Appalachia creates the perfect environment for fear. At night, visibility disappears, trees distort sound, distances become impossible to judge, and your imagination begins turning shadows into threats. But what terrifies people most is how similar the stories are. People hearing voices, seeing pale figures, hearing laughter deep in empty woods. Some even describe hearing crying babies far from civilization. Others talk about finding strange staircases in the middle of forests, completely random staircases. No buildings nearby, no explanation. Whether these stories are true or simply internet horror, nobody really knows. But they spread because they trigger something ancient inside us, the fear of being hunted. Among all Appalachian legends, the mimic may be the most disturbing, because unlike monsters that attack immediately, mimics observe first. They learn voices, they study behavior, then they imitate people to lure victims deeper into isolation. One woman described hearing her husband calling from outside their cabin during a winter storm. The terrifying part? Her husband was sitting beside her inside the cabin. Both of them heard it, a voice outside repeating his exact tone.
Open the door.
The voice continued for nearly 10 minutes. Neither of them moved. Neither of them looked outside. And when morning came, they found footprints circling the house. Bare human footprints in snow. But the most disturbing part? The footprints suddenly stopped in the middle of the yard, as if whatever made them simply vanished. The Appalachian region has countless missing persons cases. Some are explainable. Others remain complete mysteries. People vanish while hiking. Experienced hunters disappear from familiar trails. Sometimes search teams discover abandoned campsites, with no signs of struggle. And over time, many legends connected these disappearances to something darker hiding in the wilderness. One search and rescue volunteer described a case involving a missing child. Dozens searched the forest for hours. Nothing. Then suddenly, the child was discovered miles away in terrain impossible for them to reach alone. When rescuers asked where they had been,
the child reportedly said, "The people in the woods told me to stay quiet. The people in the woods told me to stay quiet."
Stories like these spread rapidly online because they blur the line between reality and folklore. And honestly, that uncertainty makes them even more terrifying. A hunter once shared an encounter that changed his life forever. He had hunted Appalachia for nearly 20 years. He knew every sound in those woods, every trail, every animal. One evening near sunset, the forest suddenly became silent. Then he noticed movement ahead. At first, he thought it was a deer, but something felt wrong. Its legs bent strangely, and when it stood up, it stood too tall. The hunter claimed the creature stared directly at him, then smiled. Not an animal expression, a human smile. He reached for his rifle, but before he could aim, the creature sprinted into the darkness at impossible speed, not running like an animal, running like something pretending to be one. The hunter never returned to that area again, and according to people close to him, he refused to discuss the encounter afterward. For decades, these stories remained local legends, but the internet changed everything. Now thousands of people share disturbing encounters online. Audio recordings, videos, horror documentaries, TikTok stories, and while many are obviously fake, some feel disturbingly believable, because the fear itself feels real. The Appalachian Mountains represent something modern society lost long ago. True isolation, no cameras, no witnesses, no escape, and in places where humans feel powerless, fear spreads quickly. Maybe that's why these stories continue growing. Because once someone tells you something might be watching from the trees, you never look into darkness the same way again. Maybe skinwalkers are just legends. Maybe mimics are only internet horror stories. Maybe every strange sound in Appalachia has a logical explanation. But even skeptics admit one thing. The Appalachian wilderness feels different after dark, and perhaps humans were never meant to feel completely alone in forests. For thousands of years, Our ancestors feared what hunted from shadows. And maybe those instincts still exist for a reason. Because even today, people continue hearing voices in those mountains, whispers, footsteps, things calling their names from deep inside the trees. So if you ever find yourself deep in the Appalachian wilderness after sunset, remember the rules. Don't whistle. Don't answer voices from the forest. And if something looks human, but feels wrong, run. Because some people believe the Appalachian Mountains are hiding something ancient, something intelligent, something that has been watching humans for a very long time. If you enjoyed this video of terrifying story, subscribe now for more haunted legends, disturbing mysteries, and true horror stories every week. And if you have your own unexplained experience, especially something involving forests, strange voices, or terrifying encounters at night, share your story in the comments, or send it to our channel email. Your story might appear in a future video. But until next time, stay away from the woods after dark. And whatever you do, don't answer if something calls your name from the trees.